Hi guys, it's Tuesday. I'm sorry, it's Wednesday, April 29th. I'm losing my days. I want to go over with you the distance formula when it comes to the Pythagorean theorem in order to find the distance between 2 points on a graph. It's important that you know that. It's not slope. You're not finding the rate of change. You're finding the distance, which is two different things. I want to just make that very clear. And when you do that, it's a very specific formula. And you saw that in lesson 12.2, the converse theory it's called. It's d equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And that looks like this when you write the formula. That looks like this. Now, I did this the other day in my sample, but I'm going to go over it to you again. This formula is something that you need to remember, especially when you're looking for distance between 2 points on a graph. So I'm going to take a look at a question that you were given, which the majority of you just had a really rough time getting through. So the question asks you, find the distance between the given points rounded to the nearest tenth. And I'm not going to use these points on my example, but I'm going to show you what to look for. Now, as you remember, we are looking for the coordinate points for A. And in this case, it's x first. Now here, it's negative 5, comma 5. Negative 5, comma 5. Negative 5 represents the x-axis, that comes first, followed by the rise or the y-axis, which is 5. So it's negative 5, comma 5. Then we're going to look at B. B is 3, comma 4. 3, comma 4. And I know that because quadrant 1 is positive, positive. Obviously, quadrant 2 is a negative, positive. And then if you go around, you'll remember, if you remember correctly, negative, negative. And then we have down here, we have positive, negative. So those are the quadrants, just to review them. Now, I'm not going to use these numbers on my example, but I'm going to use points to show you so that you can calculate this, okay? All right, so let's take a look at my worksheet. So I'm going to find a distance between point B and point C. And in doing my work, I'm going to say point B is 5, comma 6, and point C is 4, comma negative 2. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to label my points, and I'm going to identify which is the first set and which is the second set. So once I did my identification of the 2 points, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to substitute the values for the numbers in the equation. And I look at that by this. So I'm substituting. So I know that the formula tells me x2 minus x1. So x2 is 4. x2 is 4. And x1 is 5. The minus sign stays there because that's from the original formula. We're not going to change that. Just carry that down there. Now, in the second step, same thing. I'm going to take my y2, which is negative 2, plug it in, and my y1, and I'm going to plug that in, and I'm going to plug it in as 6. The negative stays there. Now, remember, if this was a negative, you would have a negative negative there, which is fine, and you do keep, change, okay? But we're not doing that in this case. It just stays this way. I want to walk down to step 3. Step 3, we're going to work the numbers inside the parentheses based upon the PEMDAS rule. Parentheses are first, then exponents. When I do the work in my parentheses first, I see 4 minus 5, I get negative 1. 4 minus 5 equals negative 1. And if you remember how to do that, that was basically you could take your number line and you can draw it out and you could say, well, here's positive 4. I'm going to try to do that someplace here. Sorry, guys. I'm going to write it here. So here's my number line. Here's positive 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1. My start is going to be on positive 4. And because I'm taking away 5, I'm just going to jump back 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that puts me at negative 1. So 4 minus 5 equals negative 1. Okay, see that? Good. So that's how I get negative 1 there. Negative 8 is when I negative 2 plus negative 6, I get negative 8. Remember. Okay, same concept. When I go ahead and I finish that and I find my new formula, my revised formula, or my revised equation, I should say, I'm going to now work the exponents. This is the E in PEMDAS. So I did the parentheses, now I'm doing the E. getting rid of the exponents. When I get rid of the exponents, remember that the number 2 tells me how many times that this number has to repeat itself. It has to repeat itself twice. So negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Same thing goes with negative 8. Tells me I have to have negative 8 2 times. So negative 8 and negative 8. 8 times 8 is 64. Negative times a negative is a positive. I get positive 64. So in this packet, or in this square root, I have to look at it and say 1 plus 64 is, and this is how you write it, 65. So now I'm going to find the distance equals the square root of 65. Now I can't do this. I could probably do it by estimating, and if I estimate it, I know that a number multiplied by itself between 8 and 9 would be the answer. So I know that that's somewhere between that, but I don't want to estimate. I am looking for a specific answer where I can round. So I'm going to use my calculator, and I'm going to put in the square root of 65, and I find that the answer is 8.06. Okay? I'm not done yet. That is not the correct answer. It is asking me to round it to the nearest tenth. Now remember, when we're rounding to the nearest tenth, we have to examine exactly where our numbers fall. And if you remember, we discussed this in class in February. I showed you, and this is a 6th grade concept, that after the decimal point, it's broken down into tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. Now, because I have only 8.06, I'm focusing on the 6th because I need to round my tens. And how do I do that? Well, when rounding to the nearest tenth, you're looking closely at the hundreds column. And in the hundreds column, it's going to tell us what number this will be. And in many cases, any number 5 and above, the tens column becomes the next number. So what would the next number be after 0? Would be 1. So I look closely at it. If you need to draw a number line, keep in mind your number line. So when I have 5 is in the middle, 6 is past 5, so I'm going to round definitely up. I'm going to round up to the next number. So when I round up to the next number, that next number in this case will be 1. My answer then turns into 8.1. So looking at 8.6, I need to round it to the nearest tenth. 0 is replaced with the number 1. And our new answer, or new revised number, is 8.1. I hope this helps you clarify what you're doing. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out for me. Obviously, my email address is myoung18@schools.nyc.gov. Or if you need to reach out for me, hit me up via text. You guys know how to do that. Any other questions or concerns, I'm available. If I don't hear from you, I've been checking in on many of you just to see what's going on. So please, make sure you are staying current with your work. Make sure you're staying strong. Make sure you finish strong. Make sure that you are, helping out at home, helping around the house, being as much as this is craziness, just being solid. And I'm the rock, and there's not much that bugs me, and I don't let things get into my head and bother me. I know that there's things that a lot of you are having issues. Please let me know. I'm here to help. Call me, text me. I hope your day is a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.